Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you today about my project proposal. It's titled Pathways to Successful Communication, and I'm creating a website for parents and educators that they can go to gain a better understanding of the different communication tactics that are out there for children who have nonverbal autism spectrum disorder. So, researching different forms of communication for children who have nonverbal autism spectrum disorder will allow parents and educators to assess the different forms of communication and choose the one that will best fit their child's needs in home and in the classroom. One problem that is seen in the occupational therapy field when it comes to special needs children is the lack of parent knowledge and educator knowledge in the different types of communication systems that can be used. There are many different technological and traditional forms of communication that a child with autism spectrum disorder can use to communicate. However, not each form is right for each child, and each child deserves to be able to use the form of communication that best fits their needs and works for them to communicate their wants and desires to their parents, educators, and their peers. A needs assessment will be passed out to special education classrooms in the Ventura County School District, and over the phone survey will be conducted in order to gain a better understanding of the needs of parents and educators. So with technology that's always changing, experience has proven that too often parents and educators get too overwhelmed with using technology as a way for their autistic child to communicate with others. There's a lack of resources that are readily available to help expound the knowledge of parents and educators on the different types of communication. The lack of knowledge has impacted the children and their families because I have seen through many years of volunteering in summer camps and local clinics that children may use a communication system that doesn't fit their needs. They are just using it because that is what all their parents know about, or that is the easiest thing for their parents to deal with. So in the past, I worked as a behavioral therapist for children with autism, and it was come to my attention that many parents just hand their child the iPad or an iPhone or other electronic devices to keep them quiet and distracted and to calm their behavior, and the child ends up not using it as a form of communication. This is a big problem because too often children will expect to receive the electronic device as a reward for bad behavior, and so they will not see it as a tool for them to use as communication when they are in good behavior. Exploring different ways of technological and traditional communication and its advantages and disadvantages for children who have autism spectrum disorder will help better distinguish the communication tactics that is right for each individual child. The purpose of the project is to develop a website that is aimed to educate parents and educators on the different forms of communication for children with nonverbal autism spectrum disorder. Knowing the different types of communication can help determine which one is right based on the child's individual needs. According to Kogel and Ashbaugh, 2018, with so many different advances in today's society, there are always new programs to help better communication practices among children. As previously stated, from experience in the classroom and home environment, it is noted that parents and educators lack that knowledge on the different forms of communication that can be used for a child with nonverbal autism spectrum disorder. Technology may be the key to success in communication for some children, as they lack the motor functions necessary to perform traditional forms of communication, such as sign language. The goal of this project is to be a voice for children with nonverbal autism spectrum disorder and initiate communication practices that may not be well known or that some parents may find hard to initiate with their child. Each individual that views the website should leave with an extensive knowledge on the different forms of communication for children with nonverbal autism and have a peace of mind with the knowledge of community programs and outside resources that their child can get involved in. Ease of access is the key in creating this website, as I know many educators and parents just need a simple reference to research and find everything that they need in one spot. Pathways to Successful Communication will be a website that encompasses a variety of communication tactics for children with nonverbal autism spectrum disorder. One limitation that may arise during the process of creating and distributing the website is parents and educators may be looking for more information on autism spectrum disorder that's not going to be addressed within the website. However, I am creating part of the website that is going to have links to outside sources that discuss diagnoses and symptoms of a child with nonverbal autism spectrum disorder and provide parents with resources that allow them to expand their knowledge in the subject matter. Creating a website will not guarantee that all parents and educators will use the resource to fuel their knowledge on the subject matter, as some of the information can be achieved through community resources and outside therapists such as occupational therapists and speech therapists that the child might already be seeing. Many parents and educators will not reference the website when deciding on the form of communication that is best fit for their child due to the lack of time in their schedules and the ease of using a tactic that their child is already familiar with, or one that is widely used by other children that have nonverbal autism spectrum disorder. So I want to take a minute to describe some of the terms that we have discussed so far. So autism spectrum disorder is a condition that's related to the brain development that impacts how a person perceives and socializes with others, causing problems in social interaction and communication. Communication is key for a child to basically get what they want and they desire and to feel their needs in everyday life. Communication can be defined as a process by which information is exchanged between individuals. Communication can be done in many different forms, such as sign language, writing with a pen or pencil, or simply talking. When a child has autism spectrum disorder, they are considered to have special needs. Special needs can be defined as any of various difficulties that causes an individual to require additional or specialized services or accommodations. When a child has autism spectrum disorder, their cognitive and social development can be slowed. Their cognitive development is the construction of their thought processes and how they think things through and complete tasks. Their social development is how they develop social and emotional skills across the lifespan, as their social development skills should mature and increase as they grow older. Many children who have autism spectrum disorder receive occupational therapy, which is therapy based on the engagement in meaningful activities of daily life, such as learning how to brush their teeth or comb their hair or take the trash out, and stuff that can help them succeed in the classroom and in the home environment. So autism spectrum disorder affects 1 in 59 children in the United States and is more prevalent today throughout the world. Depending on where a child falls on the spectrum determines their abilities that they have to interact, learn, and communicate. Even though parents may feel overwhelmed with the many different options that are out there to help their child, it is important for them to know that they are not alone. They should be able to turn to a useful website that will allow them to narrow down their options and choose the right type of communication device that is best for the child, depending on where they lie on the spectrum. Once a child is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, There are many places throughout the spectrum in which they can lie that is determined by their social, cognitive, and communicative skills. Throughout the spectrum, there are three main types of there are three places in which a child can lie throughout the spectrum. The first is autistic disorder, otherwise known as autism, can be defined as the part of the spectrum in which a child exhibits language delays and communication and social challenges. Um, the next level is Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's is a less aggressive form of autism, and the child may face some mild behaviors with social challenges and may suffer from language and other intellectual deficits. And last, pervasive development disorder lies between the two previously discussed um, spectrum points and is pervasive development disorder. For pervasive development disorder, is they have mild communication deficits as well as less severe and unusual behaviors, and they suffer from social anxiety and they do not like to interact with their peers. For all people who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, there are deficits in the major cognitive areas, but our most common that stretches throughout the spectrum is the deficits in communication skills. According to Cadet 2016, children with autism spectrum disorder have very little communication skills, and which makes it difficult for them to interact and socially with others and voice their opinions and their wants and their needs. So when it comes to different communication tactics for a child to use to communicate, there are mobile applications which can be useful to work on joint attention skills as they have to manage to go back and forth from focusing on an individual in which they are trying to communicate with and focusing on their iPad in which they are using to communicate. It helps children generate their thoughts and emotions as they have to know what they want, what they are thinking in order to communicate it, and their emotions that they are trying to communicate. These children are now able to use software that lets them project their thoughts and feelings to others around them. Dylan Barmache, who became popular after he gave a speech at his middle school graduation using technology to express his words, has brought a new light to ways in which parents, families, and educators view technology to help those who have autism spectrum disorder. During his speech, Dylan was able to express how he felt about using technology and how he described that it has given him a voice within his community and he doesn't feel as isolated as he's able to communicate better with his peers. The apps that can be used on an iPad, iPhone, or other electronic devices work through a speech generator that voices what the child wants to say, or they can also use as just a general keyboard on the electronic device that will then speak the words that they have written. When it comes to choosing the best technological device that suits a child and their individual needs, it depends on their child's likes and dislikes of technology. Technology in the classroom has helped many children advance with their social and cognitive skills and has allowed children to participate with their peers and in group discussions, which in turn creates a positive learning environment, not just for the child with autism spectrum disorder, but for other people within the classroom. So when mobile applications do not work as a form of communication for a child, many teachers and educators might turn to traditional forms of communication, such as sign language or just writing with a pen, pencil, and paper. Many children can get distracted by the other activities that they can do on their smart device, such as watch movies or go on YouTube or play other games. So when this becomes a problem, parents and educators turn to the traditional forms of communication. So their child can better focus on their communication tactics. Many children who have autism spectrum disorder might lack the fine motor skills that are needed to use sign language or writing with pencil and paper. But when traditional forms are used, it helps promote motor skills and it helps children work on their dexterity with writing, which in the long run can help them communicate better through sign language and using a pen and pencil. The picture exchange communication system is one tactic that can be used as a traditional form of communication, as children are introduced to objects and symbols that they desire to have or to reach, and it creates a physical barrier, like distance between the child and the item that is desired, and will not only help the child communicate with others, but will also make them learn to work for the item in which they want to desire. It will make them work harder to reach their goal as they want the item, say a cookie or something that's in the kitchen. It makes them communicate their wants, that they want the cookie. The purpose of this project is to bring forth the knowledge that is needed to help parents and educators determine the best form of communication skill for children with autism. Parents and educators will assess the needs of their child with autism and discover ways in which they can communicate effectively with their child and help tend more attentively to their needs. So, in order to gain a better understanding of the needs and the knowledge of parents and educators that are out there, a needs assessment will need to be established. This needs assessment will consist of a survey that will be given to parents and educators on their knowledge and assess their knowledge that they have on the different communication tactics that are out there. Leadly.com will be used to create pathways to successful communication. And throughout the website, there will be different pages, such as a biography of myself, the creator, technology of communication, traditional forms of communication, and I will also be posting resources about autism spectrum disorder that parents can, outside resources that parents can go to learn more about the diagnoses and symptoms of their child. A community resource and programs page will also be posted, as I want parents to feel as if they have the resources that they need in order to help include their child with community activities such as sports or summer camp. I also want parents and people who visit the website to feel that their voice is being heard, and I'm going to post my contact information so that they have everything that they need if they have any questions or anything like that, so they can feel free to contact me. The website is aimed to target parents and educators of children with nonverbal autism spectrum disorder and is based off of the needs assessment that will be distributed within the Ventura County School District in Ventura, California. The survey, over the phone survey, will be to parents that I have previously, whose children I have previously worked with, and family members. So with the needs assessment, I will ask the series of questions, and the over the phone interview will consist of the same questions that were asked on the survey that was handed out to the school district. So in creating pathways to successful communication, it is of the utmost importance to create a website that is user-friendly and attractive to every individual's eyes. It is not a goal to make parents and educators feel overwhelmed, so each topic will include short, detailed descriptions of each different form of communication, and graphics will be used to help enhance their knowledge and understanding of what is being described. So pathways to successful communication will help bring peace of mind to parents and educators whose nonverbal autistic child struggles with their communication skills.